The People's Platform.
Hello there, very good evening, and you're watching another edition of People's Platform here on TV1. And tonight we're joined by Manjula Gajanayake, the Executive Director of IRIS. A very good evening, Mr. Gajanayake, and welcome to the People's Platform.
You too. Thanks for having me in this show.
Of course, you have been a very, guest who has always been with us throughout, talking about various topics, and it's indeed a pleasure to have you today as well.
Thanks again.
We're in the lead up to the local government election. It's just happening next week. Tell us about what the process this time is going to be. We saw that there have been many delays with regards to the local government elections. Last time around, nominations were called and the election was called off, but we're finally going to see the election take place on the 6th of May. How has these delays affected the democratic process in the country, and what is the situation as of now?
Yes, actually, I think considering other elections in Sri Lanka, from 1931 up to now, Sri Lanka has conducted 77 elections. Actually, when we look back, it was a wonderful record comparing with other countries. However, there were some hiccups because that when it comes to the national elections, it is statutory that the constitution elaborated well. Then rulers can't avoid. They have to conduct elections. Then most of times, actually, we can see that the timeline of national elections correct. Unfortunately, when it comes to national, provincial or other local elections, always rulers are trying to postpone elections. That's why, that can you remember actually that at what time when we have conducted provincial council elections? Maybe you can't remember, no, even with us, because the last election conducted in 2014 and 2015, but unfortunately for 80 years now, no provincial council elections. Local government elections also same, because the island-wide local government election conducted 10th February 2018. After that, it was due to conduct the election in 2022. But unfortunately, at that time, we had a crisis, as well as the line minister, according to his power, using his power, he extended extended 1 year all the provincial councils time, local government election time. After that, election commission was trying hard to conduct the election, but unfortunately at that time the successor executive president didn't want to conduct the elections due to the unpopularity, because at that time he was thinking that he may lost if conduct the election. Therefore, election, however, we should appreciate the last phase of 2023, the beginning of 2023, election commission tried hard. Therefore, at that time, the chairman was Mr. Nimal Puncheva, attorney at law. Then he tried and announced the election date as 9th March 2023. After that, what happened? Executive president used his executive powers and ordered everyone to stop supporting election commissions. Then at that time, that the government printer was printed, I think, ballot papers for 15 districts. But unfortunately, she stopped it, and also the secretary to the finance ministry also stopped all funds to give to the election commission. Therefore, that the whole process also stopped. After that, the PAFREL, Center for Policy Alternatives, and I think Samagi Janabalawege as well as Jatika Janabalawege, two political parties and two civil society organizations went before the Supreme Court, and finally Supreme Court gave a wonderful historic verdict that to conduct the local government election as soon as possible. Now where we are, actually after that, the 17th of the nomination process started 17th of March until 20th. Now actually tomorrow, now we are in the very last phase of this local government election. This is the 7th island-wide local government election process in Sri Lanka. From tomorrow midnight, all the publicity should be stopped, Then from next Tuesday, we are going to face this local government election. However, we have 341 local government authorities in the country. Out of 341, election commission is conducting election 339 local authorities in this time.
Indeed. With your reading, Mr. Gajanayake, because you've been in this whole scenario for a very long time, what is the political climate like at the moment? Do you think the NPP will see that same landslide win at this election as well, or will there be a difference in how the voters will cast their vote and select their leaders?
You know that this time is unfortunately this local government was due to conduct before two national elections, right? Parliamentary elections and presidential election. However, now this is the time that we are conducting this election before. Due to that, I think the interest of people gradually declining for this election. It is number one. Number two is that you know that you need money. Money is matter for elections, right? Then as far as I understood, as an organization, we also monitoring on election campaigns money also. Then what we understood that already most of candidates and political parties have invested money for past elections to national critical elections. Therefore, actually they have lack of money to govern, run their campaign. Number three is that the NPP was in opposition party. When they were in opposition, you saw that most of supporters, when it comes to the digital platforms, there were hundreds and thousands of organic posts created by NPP supporters themselves. But you know that when they were in the government positions, you can't. I mean, it is not only for NPP, any political party. When you are in opposition, you can take some such kind of original support. But when you are in government, actually, you can't expect that much support. That's the situation right now. And another one is that you know that after that election, you know that the NPP got a historical amazing victory. After that, most of political parties broken by pieces no. At that time 2018, you know that the United National Party, they were contesting more than 350 local authorities. This time actually at least they are contesting very few local authorities using their famous symbol elephant. Okay, then and also that when any election, actually election commission or even earlier department calls elections, you can see most of political parties are trying to create political alliance. But this time lack of alliance, we can't see that political parties are doing house-to-house campaign and other political activities in an active mood in this time. If you are asking me that the percentage and numbers, you know that this time there are over 71,000 candidates are contesting, right? Then they have election commission accepted nearly 2,900 out of all the number of nomination papers submitted by political parties, nearly 3,000. Out of 3,000, actually they have rejected nearly 400 and I think 423 nomination papers. As a percentage, it is 16%, 16 point. Then that also affected this election until 21st March. That means 1 or 2 weeks ago, no? Actually, political parties and most of candidates were on tension and on the fence because they didn't know whether the court will accept their nomination or not. There was a great uncertainty. Therefore, actually, they also didn't do any political activity. That also affected to this election, that means interest level of voters. Then most of time, what according as an election observation mission, our observation is only 3 political parties are contesting in this election in an active mode. Out of 71,000 candidates, let me to say nearly 10,000 only 10,000 candidates are only doing their house-to-house campaign actively
canvassing.
Then it is a great decline in mode. And also, Navishka, as a young researcher, you know that the political slogan and political advertisement and communication also it also very important part of this kind of campaign. No, you may know that in 1978, when Margaret Thatcher was contesting, that Saatchi and Saatchi advertising company created a wonderful slogan that Labour isn't working, no, like that. But can you see such kind of creative slogan in this time? When it comes to national election, yes. But I don't know that even political parties themselves declining, actually getting away from this creative work. Then due to all those things, actually that interest level is very low.
Do you feel like the political parties have not put in as much as effort as required into this election?
Yes, definitely, because maybe some of political parties are thinking that the NPP party will win this time, as well as, but you know that the few of political parties are thinking that they can grab the movement because that social media platforms and other few other persons, actually people may be criticizing NPP's activity, and actually they may they will be able to grab the momentum. However, as a whole, because you know that 49 political parties are contesting, no, then you can expect, it is not unfair thinking like that, actually you can expect such a huge campaign. But unfortunately, if few political parties are contesting, actually that the campaign is not in an interested level, no, that's the thing. However, I don't think that, you know that as an election observer we are not allowed to assume or tell anything on political parties' victory like that. But let me to say like this, but you know, when you are in opposition, actually you can grab the momentum and you are very popular. But as usual, not in Sri Lanka, any part of the world, actually you may not popular when you are in government. It is same scenario. And other thing is, Navishka, according to the political demography and the election demography, you know that the voting pattern of regional elections, local election is there's a contrast when comparing with national elections, right? Then we can expect that the most of voters, because election system is totally different, no preferential voting this time. This also we are using mixed member proportional system. Therefore, people will choose most convenient, most closest candidates to them, not political party. Then this election will be based on individuals, not political party. Then actually it is unfair comparing these election results with the national election result.
Indeed, I think when it comes to the local government election, not like the other two elections, people tend to vote for their the neighbor, the one in their village, the one who has stood by them in terms of adversities and things like that.
And their basic requirement, daily requirement, no?
So I would also like to ask you, Mr. Gajanayake, now you said that you don't see the enthusiasm as usual from the political parties in this election. Will that affect the voter turnout as well, given the fact that, you know, people have to really take their time and it does cost some amount to go and cast their vote, especially if you're based out of Colombo.
Yeah.
So do you think we will see a decrease in the voter turnout this time around?
Yes, definitely. But it is not our wish. You know that after the 12 midnight of tomorrow, actually you as media and as election observers as well as election commission, all three parties, actually we have a obligation, we have a responsibility to encourage voters to cast their votes to the polling stations. However, as you correctly mentioned, but you know, last time when the polling happened in 2018, 10th of February, you know that election was conducted after 3 years. It was the very first election, because we saw that the parliamentary election was conducted in 2015. In between 2015 to 2018, there wasn't any election. Then that was the very first election. There was a great enthusiasm. That's why there was a high voter turnout recorded, 79 point, amazing when it comes to the local elections. But in this time, we are conducting our local election after two national elections.
We're going backwards.
Then that is very unfortunate situation, you know, that therefore now people knows that they have selected their executive president, they have selected elected their parliament. Then people may think that actually this is not an important election, but our viewpoint is totally different. This is the most important election. According to the political science, you know that the local governance is the foundation of democracy. When it comes to any elections, actually the most important election is local government elections, because the democracy is starting from this point. Then it is so important. But we can expect actually, if we can record a percentage in between 70 to 75%, even in this time, actually, I can say it might be a good percentage, but I don't think that it will be high up to 80% like last election.
Before we cross over to short commercial break, I would like to ask you one more question. Now, we see that there were quotas that have to be fulfilled with regards to political parties accepting their candidates. What are your thoughts about the parties fulfilling the need of having the women's quota and youth representation at this election?
Thanks for asking that question, Naveshka. You know, 2018 when introducing that women quota, actually it was a greater challenge. No political parties didn't aware about that, as well as actually they didn't want to select and nominate such women. But after that, you know, there were 1,919 women selected and elected for that last local government election, through last local government election. After that, out of that number, you know, I mean nearly 100, maybe 150 women did well. No, they actually they done well their job, as well as, you know, that the media also, like you know, that certain and other programs gave a wonderful support to them. After that, when it comes to this time, not single quota, there are two kind of quota. The one is the women quota. Women quota is, the meaning of women quota is when establishing the particular local authority, there should be 25 women quota, right? But last time actually only there was only 23.8. However, this time another quota, youth quota. Youth quota mean not when establishing. When you are submitting nomination paper, there should be 25% youth quota. Then we can expect that at least 25% women and youth members will be represented, that the particular local authorities. But when it comes to political parties, you know that this time also most of political parties had some hesitations as well as doubts to nominate women. However, when comparing with 2018, let me to say that the situation was good, because not major political parties, however that other minor political parties, small political parties had a great enthusiasm to nominate them, as well as Jatika Jana Balawegi as the ruling party. They, you know that there were hundreds and thousands of women behind that party to ask in nomination for the parliamentary election previous. Therefore, I think they have given a promise to give their nomination ticket to other elections. Therefore, they also given their tickets. Therefore, but when it comes to major political parties, Naveshka, they have given only the quota, that for the, if you have to nominate only 15 women for the nomination, through the nomination papers, they have nominated only 15. But for other small political parties, actually they have nominated the more than the requirement for the nominations.
Indeed, we have a lot more to talk about, but before that we'll cross over to a short commercial break. Stay with us. This is the People's Platform on TV1.
The People's Platform.
If you do not perform, or if you have not performed, and if you do not perform, this is a protest vote we are going to place, and that signal, that protest vote will go down very well, because the government will know that their popularity is coming down and they will have to arrest it.
This government needs checks and balances.
You can't say only winning parties announce their candidates. There have been it has been time and time again where, you know, candidates are chosen.
Our police is still being restructured and reformed at the moment, and that is part of the reason. But I also think organized crime is a bit unsettled at the moment.
Face the Nation every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m.
Design is like music. It's a whole orchestra. The dots, the lines, the dashes. It's a whole symphony. It has to feel good.
Come on a fantastic discovery of design as Anthony Burke meets designers from Mumbai to Yogyakarta, showcasing groundbreaking works.
This is me, this is my creation, this is my life.
Culture by design.
Tomorrow at 6 p.m. onwards on TV1.
ඔබේ ගමේ නගරේ දේශපාලනයේ හෙට දවස සතිය දිනවල සවස 6:30ට.
And people listen to us. And also because they don't like that wasteful, corrupt political culture. So the smoothest transition ever, I think any country could learn a lesson, you know.
Just the fact that you're a woman is not sufficient. You need to have a good backbone. You need to be sure of who you are. And you need to have the strength to speak up.
After the Aragal era, we are led to believe that there are a lot of young people who are interested in politics, in governance, in system change and all of that.
Thousands of people who are involved. It's very polarizing. So we have to seek certain reconciliation also in the society when we talk about this. We shouldn't always be polarizing. We shouldn't always be, you know, leveraging it politically.
Face to Face, Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m.
හැමතැනම කපුටු පියාට.
මොකක් කපුට මැරිලා? පලාතම කපුට මැරෙන සීන් එකක් තියෙන්නේ.
බඩු ලොක්කා. ඒක ලොක්කා කනේ දියන්න ඕනේ.
කවුරුත් අපෝ ගණන් ගන්නේ නෑනේ බං.
ලොක්කා ප්‍රශ්න දින උත්තර නෙමෙයි අතන.
හරි හරි මට තේරෙනවා මේක සමස්ත කපුටන් විනාශ කිරීමේ මහා කුමන්ත්‍රණයක්. කුණු කෑල්ලක් කන්න කපුටෙක් නැති වුණාම මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ?
හැමතැනම කුණු.
අන්න හරියට හරි. මාර විනාශයක් වෙන්නේ. මම බලා ගන්න.
ඔය යන්න බලා ගන්නම් කියලා.
බලා ගන්න.
ඔයා බලා ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. අපි 6 වෙනිදාට බලා ගන්නම් ඕගොල්ලෝ ගැන.
ප්‍රතිඵලය බලන්න මැයි 6 වෙනිදා රාත්‍රී 7:30ට සිරස TV බලන්න. The People's Platform.
Welcome back. You're watching the People's Platform on TV1. Tonight we are joined by Manjula Gajanayake, the director of IRES. Tell me, Mr. Gajanayake, now you have been with these political parties. You have seen how all these processes work, and you said over 71,000 candidates will contest at this election. How crucial is it that these election monitoring takes place effectively and that all these candidates face a fair election?
It is a challenging question also. You know that the first challenge is not the monitoring. You know that even last time in when that the 2018 local government election, there were 81,000 candidates. It was the highest candidate contesting in any election in Sri Lankan history. That time, when it when comparing with 2018, 10,000, maybe nearly 9,000 or 10,000 lakh in this election. However, for parliamentary election, maximum 8,888 candidates were there in last parliamentary elections. That means the number says that always the local government election is challengeable, because the number of candidates are contesting means actually it is very difficult to monitor. The very first challenge is, Navishka, not the number of total number of the candidates of this election, the resources. You know that due to the Trump administration and the pause of that USAID funds, it is I'm not shame, and actually I always like to say that who are the funders of our organizations and how we did. If we are receiving local fundings, actually we don't want to go behind after the international organizations. Therefore, during last elections, not only IRIS, that most of election monitoring missions received most of funds through USAID organizations, through the USAID, but unfortunately due to the Trump administration's post of funding, now this time actually we don't have funds, right? Number one. Number two is that due to the number of candidates, actually we have to deploy hundreds and thousands of monitors everywhere, all 25 administrative districts. Now it is very challengeable. But luckily, you know that Navishka, you may remember when you start your career also, I have participated your program also. At that time, we were continuously talking on electoral reform, how to use digital platform to elections. You may remember. Luckily, at that time when we are talking about that, election commission wasn't enthusiasm, wasn't interest on that. But in this time, we can see gradually they are applying such modifications, right? Modern equipments as well as new media. Then they already introduced the app to under the EDR, election dispute resolution unit. Anyone can complain through the app, as well as actually if you can use their election commission's other app, you can see the profiles of all 71,000 candidates. Those are the things that we applied earlier, as well as we suggested. Therefore, you know, due to using such equipment, such actually apps, digital platforms, then our duty is very easy now. Therefore, we don't want to use such a huge number of monitors this time. Thanks to election commission also, though we suggested earlier, it is other point. And anyway, you know that if you don't have money, how to do elections? You know that not only for the political party, not only the campaign. Election is money is matter for elections, right? Then you should have money. In this time, therefore, you know that even in this morning I had another program. I told that, you know, that pausing of US funds let me to say, it is just like a blessing in this time, because when starting our career before 2005, I started my election observation career in 2005, Navishka. But before that, when these organizations starting, it was entirely a volunteer process, right? Election monitoring mean actually if there is an election, all the citizens should be observers, right? They should be working as volunteers. But after that, actually we got money, then we throw everywhere money, then people used to elections using money, then that even election monitoring process also is just like a vicious circle, because we need to money do that, though it should be a volunteer process. Now this time I don't know what other organizations are doing, but I can say that PAFRAL also did the same pledge that I already told all of our hundreds and thousands of observers to give your support volunteer this time. Out of our entire pool of observers, half of them, maybe nearly 1,000 people, were agreed to give their support in volunteer manner. Then that's why I told that it's just like a blessing that not receiving money even. Then this time actually, as IRS, actually we are doing our job in a volunteer level, as volunteers in this time. But however, we are always connecting with Election Commission and Sri Lanka Police. They also giving a wonderful support, but we also giving some constructive criticism on those government entities and independent commissions when they are doing any wrong thing. However, the situation is like that, very challengeable, but let me to say our entire election process is this time is a volunteer process.
Indeed. I would also like to ask you now, we see that especially at an election like this, people may be hesitant to spend a lot of money, go back to their village, take off from their workplaces to cast their vote. Don't you think that Sri Lanka should move forward from this traditional voting system and move on to maybe something digital, or make it more user friendly, where it doesn't cost so much to cast your vote?
Good question, Namishka. You know that you are representing Gen Z. Then you have all the rights to ask that question, and actually in Sri Lanka also far behind using such modifications, that the modern equipments, modern app, that digital platforms for electoral reform process. Then it is a valid question. But let me to say like this, that Navishka, when you are reading our elections, actions and everything, all the steps actually, have you seen any wrong thing of using our manual equipments in this, I mean in Sri Lanka? Actually you can't see, because our election is starting 7 o'clock. If there's no tragedy, anything, national disaster, the election will be ended at 4 o'clock. Then during that time actually Election Commission can control the population, set of voters, as well as actually they have a good manual system, trustworthy, right? Then if you have a problem only, you have to use such equipments, right? Then we don't have such an issue any of this time, okay, not only this time, even previous. Then I don't think that for elections we need to use such electronic voting machine like India. But however, still your question is valid. But what we can do? But due to that, that is not the problem, Navishka. The problem is, you know that the 6th May is that it falls on that Tuesday, no? Then why we can't conduct the election in a weekend? Okay, that at least Saturday, that you can't, according to the ordinance of the act of the public holidays, you can't conduct election on Sunday as well as Poya Day or any public holiday. But Saturday is the day to conduct the election. It is not the law, but it's just a tradition, okay, but no harm. Then it is a correct day, suitable day to conduct the election. But unfortunately this time Election Commission has chosen the election date as 6th May Tuesday, right? I know they had the technical problems due to the because the depositing the money for the elections, actually you need to consecutive 3 days, working days, that due to find the difficulty to find that day, actually they had to nominate the election, call the election day as Tuesday 6th May. Let me say this also, due to this day actually people may not go to the polling stations, because if it is weekdays it is very easy, but Tuesday, the working day, inflation is high, the cost of living is not an easy task to manage in Sri Lanka, then people may be interested to work, rather going to polling stations, though we have a matured democracy in Sri Lanka, right? It is number one. Number two is that election commission, you know that you may remember actually, I think I have discussed this also with you in that other programs, Face the Nation and other programs actually, how to give the chances to cast their votes for set of people, groups, right, prisoners, right, hospitals. Do you know that the on election, not election day in national hospitals, when comparing taking all the national hospitals, we have 100,000 beds, right? Out of 100,000 beds, normal average occupied bed is the 20,000. Okay, on any election that mean 20,000 patients will be there. But unfortunately in Sri Lanka we don't have any opportunity to give a chance to them for voting. That's the prisoners also, actually remand prisoners. I mean I have submitted a RTA application for the prison department, then I received a reply that in last time actually there were 22,800 prisoners in there, okay, all the 22 or some other prisons. Then they are missing that chance. Then why you can't keep a ballot box in the Valikada prison, Mahara prison? Okay, you have to change a simple provisions in our existing act, rather introducing new equipments, electronic voting machine, Navishka. You can change the law and arrange in some alternative methods for voting. You know, other countries abstaining, you know that there were many postal voting, abstaining voting, know that they are using many kind of voting patterns, voting methods. But in Sri Lanka, public officers who are supporting election process, nearly 700,000 people have postal voting chance, others should go there. But as I don't know where you are, but if you are in a periphery area, actually you have to be in this studio on election day. You may have a critical role to play. Then can you go to periphery area to vote? Then why you can't have at least polling, at least postal voting? Then the doctors, actually even doctors, usually we are saying that they are top professionals, but even they don't have such postal voting facilities. If there's a surgeon, actually how to be in the operation theater without voting, no? Then they don't have a chance. Then in that way actually Sri Lankan officials, election commission need to think twice, right, how to provide such chances for them. In Sri Lanka per day, Navishka, I have secondary data, you know that nearly 400 couples getting married, right, on any day, right? On election day also nearly 200 couples. They have a chance? No, right? Even that if the Sri Lankan team, maybe cricket, basketball, volleyball, they are playing in abroad on election day, can you tell me how they are voting? No chance. But we know our friends, US or other countries, actually when they come in to meet us, actually if there's an election, they are simply using internet or other before the election, actually using the other alternative methods, actually they are voting. Then that's the situation here. Then in this time also, last time, Navishka, out of 16 million, 5.5 million were absent. That's a huge number. This time also, though we don't like, we can expect that numbers. Then in other democratic country, actually it is a strange numbers. Then I think after even this, at least after this election, we should start to discuss on this matter, and the election commission also should think twice on this situation,
so that everyone gets an equal chance to cast their vote.
Definitely.
My last question to you is, what are the measures that are in place this time to ensure a fair and transparent election process?
Yeah, you know that the number one is political authority. That the last time, you know that when it comes to the local level elections, we can see most of ruling party using public property, right, premises of local authorities as well as the officials and the assets of local authorities. In 2018 we have reported hundreds and thousands of such incidents, okay, during election time. But we are lucky this time because this political authority are not involved in with much to violate election laws as well as the use in public property. Therefore, we can trust that we can assure that the no misusing of public property as well as the political interferences. Right after 2024, we can see that police department also doing well. I mean, they are committed to do the free and fair elections. Last time, actually, they had a great mechanism to conduct the election, to ensure the free and fair elections. They have a good connection with the Election Commission as well as we also connecting with Sri Lanka police. If there's any misconduct, we can report directly. We have a good relationship with the Sri Lanka police. They have, you know, that as evidence we can say that the Election Commission has received up to yesterday actually that they have received 3,998 complaints. Out of that number, they have sorted 3,400, nearly 400 complaints. That means only 600 all election law violations are pending, and also no election violence taking place this time also. And finally, we can say that the great coordination between Sri Lanka Police, Election Commission, and also they are supporting us as election observer. We are PAVREL and other organizations, including IRIS, going to deploy hundreds of thousands of observers on election day, as well as we are specially using mobile observers, because we know what are the vulnerable places. Then we can send them. If there's something, we can directly complain to the EDR unit. Then everything okay. Then now it is the using the exercise of sovereignty powers with the hands of our voters. Please go and vote.
Indeed. Please go and make sure that you cast your vote on Tuesday and exercise your franchise on the 6th of May. And thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Gajanayake. You have always been bringing insightful conversations to our tables. Thank you very much once again for joining us today as well. And that's a wrap of the People's Platform for tonight. We'll see you again next week at the very same time. Till then, good night and take care.